grant applications. Website design and functionality improvements were completed in September. This is just showing one of the banners that Essex now has a new sign bylaw. She's continually doing refreshes. This is advertising March break coming up next week, I guess, March 14th to the 18th. So it's as current as every day goes by. She's updating Facebook, Twitter. This is the Twitter page for the fire department. They have now their own Twitter page. We have an additional page for Facebook. She created 73 media releases, 28 posters, 41 website banners, 635 Facebook posts, a whole bunch of corporate tweets, fire tweets, and posted 19 video uploads to YouTube, and some brochures. Just to give you a sense in the communicating in numbers, for the year 2015, we were up over 2014 in every category. Just for example, 318,000 people reached on Facebook. That's up from 200 and some odd the previous year. 250% increase in YouTube views on YouTube, over 5,400, which represents some 60,000 minutes of YouTube views. Lori has all kinds of analytics that she provides to us that we can show what kind of usage we have on that. She also is involved in policy statements, regulations, and guidelines. Under the economic development, under Anne's leadership, Anne was very much involved in a number of partnerships. Erie Shore Alliance assisted the TWEPI. She was over in Detroit doing the bicycle show. Employer One survey, regularly attends the Harrow Chamber meetings, and regularly liaises with the various ministries, in particular OMAFRA and the Ministry of Economic Development. This is something that planning, economic development worked on together. These are just, yeah. Well, it looks better today, so yeah. We thought we'd just show you a couple of those just to say that things are happening. I don't know, the owners of this place have done a pretty nice job, but we'll let that fly too. So it's the before and afters are pretty amazing. We often see the town or our urban centers and we don't take a good look at the subtle changes that do occur, but there are some big improvements. Community improvement partners, signage went up in those stores, or in those commercial enterprises where we had support with those. There was one for Essex and one for Harrow. Anne is co-located with the Business Resource Center and the Small Business Center, and that has, I was speaking to her again today on that, and that has certainly added to that influence of having kind of the one-stop shop, people that come in looking for both services. She publishes a Business Matters newsletter. This goes out once monthly, and this is a banner from the from Invest in Essex. This is on her Facebook page, I think. In terms of, this is a shot from EnerQuest, just showing that to invest in, that business is the foundation of our economic development. She's also involved in ensuring Essex is visible in tourism. She works with TWEPI. She works with the groups outside of the region in terms of the various production. There's a few brochures and periodicals that she works on. Small business support, tips and bits, information breakfasts, raising awareness through outreach, working with banks and realtors. She's networking, doing a number of different showcases, small business luncheons, attended the Weedsea AGM, and I think attended the Warden's. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there, but she was at the Warden's luncheon last week. Advocacy, Anne's certainly been involved in the Harrow High School closure and working on business cases to secure funding for medical records for 2 family physicians. It has been very instrumental in a number of those. For example, just recently, she was very instrumental in the landing of the Farm Credit Corp to a location here in Essex Center. Involved in walkabouts, business park development, feasibility and marketing, business visitation, and responding to inquiries, and has attended a number of, works on grants and funding, and attended a number of different workshops. As I said earlier, Detroit Crossings, I think is the magazine, Day Tripping. She's written different editorials for those magazines and done radio campaigns. But I guess what's the key of all of this, what I'm going to conclude on, is that you're going to see a little picture of different people on our staff. And it always impresses me that when I go through this and I sit down with our directors and our management team and I ask them, what did you do last year? Or what have you been working on? And it's the variation of things that we do. It's the diversity of activities that we're involved in. Here's a group of young people involved with their coordinator over in community services. There's some programs also run out of Doug's shop. Here's some firefighters working with Firefighters of the Future. Here's some of our employees in our Public Works shop. Some of our staff from our office. Again, some staff, some present, some retirees. This was taken at our Christmas luncheon. A few other folks from our group. Some of our firefighters out on a call. And just some pictures of some of our team. And I'm very pleased and proud to say that that group there is largely our leadership team. That was taken a couple of years ago, so there's some different faces in there. We're missing a couple of new ones, but it's a privilege working beside those people and being able to accomplish the work that you give us guidance to, that council sets the direction for us, and we're very pleased to be able to provide the kind of service that we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And we're out. Any questions or comments from council members? Councilor Bjorkman?
Through your worship, yeah, I'd just like to say it's an impressive list of accomplishments. It's great to be able to have a look at that and realize that in the course of a year, and some work, I'm sure the previous year sowed some seeds that came to fruition there, but it's impressive. It's something to be proud of, and thank our administration team for getting us there. Thank you.
Councilor Bundy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Boy, when you look at all of the fire and the community services, it's very jazzy. And then when you look at Public Works, there's really no pictures. And so we've said this before about Public Works, but I'm hoping that we can do it. And I did talk to the deputy mayor about it at the high school meeting. I said, we need to have a ribbon cutting for Fairview Avenue. And I really hope we can do that this spring, because we did. Several levels of government should be invited out, and maybe past representatives, I don't know. And I'd really want to start celebrating some of the nuts and bolts of our infrastructure, because you can have lots of pictures of parks and slides and pools, but I think it's important to celebrate the core infrastructure that we're investing in too. And then we can get some positive media around our beautiful roads, and Fairview being a big one.
Thank you. Councilor Oakes?
Thank you, Worship. In review of that report, did anybody nail down why our YouTube visits are up over 60%? Have we looked into that? Is there a reason? Huh?
Through you, Your Worship, there are some ideas, just vague ideas, that's all. Nothing concrete.
Councilor Caxero?
Through your worship, yeah, I think a lot was accomplished last year. I think there's going to be a lot accomplished this year. I think certainly the one thing that we have to impress upon the media is that for a very small town, the smallest in the county, we're second in spending. We're second in spending per capita. And we're spending well above some of the ones that are at the bottom. That's an important message, because that says that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing with the dollars that we're collecting. And it's not, in my opinion, taxes in Essex aren't extremely high. We do it through other means, whether it be grants, and we haven't gotten a lot of those recently, but through user pay method, so that people that are using certain services are paying for them, and we're not burdening the taxpayer with all of that. You know, I believe we're close to 14 million this year in capital. Only Leamington spends more than us, and we had no grants. Leamington had a significant amount of grants. If you take out their grants, we spent pretty much the same as Leamington. So I think that's a tremendous drop.
Anyone else? Motion to receive the report. Councilor Caxero, Councilor Bjorkman, any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Mr. Phillips, thanks. That was a lot of work putting that together too. Thank you very much, sir.
Item 7D, CAO Report Number 2016-02, Verbal and Written Report on Strategic Plan 2016 to 18.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, in your agenda package you have a strategic plan 2016 through 18. I thought it would be beneficial to walk through briefly a PowerPoint presentation. The strategic plan that's before you is based on the meetings that we held with council about a year ago. I guess it was March of 2015, followed by a series of other information presentations designed to provide council with the background analysis and the assessment of the current realities. We focused on the following topics: roles and responsibility of council and administration, economic development, asset management, long-term infrastructure, parks and recreation and culture, including community services master plan, giving you an update on that, and a financial overview and a long-term plan. What the strategic plan does set out is it sets out a high-level direction that sends a guidelines or bookends to the municipality during the remainder of this term of council. It gives that, it intended to guide and inform the development of an annual business plan and budgets to assist council and administration in achieving the results that you as a council or as an elected body want us to do. So it provides that high-level direction. The budget becomes that next level of direction, and then work plans, of course, fall out of that. So it's kind of a hierarchy of plans, the strategic being at the very top of it all. In terms of the strategic plan, it contains 4 key elements: the mission statement, an expression of our purpose or mandate; the objectives, being those priorities; and the statements describing how each objective will be achieved; and then the evaluation, the ways we will monitor implementation and progress. One of those evaluations is something which I just provided to you as an update or a report on those activities we accomplished in the previous year. The mission statement that we've come up with is that the town is committed to providing services, facilities, and infrastructure to help improve the economic, social, and environmental well-being of our communities, and to deliver an outstanding life experience for present and future residents, businesses, and visitors. There were 6 key strategic objectives that council came up with. We've added to them a little bit to enhance them so that I think when we ended our session with our facilitator, I think we had words like finance and infrastructure. So please bear with us that what you're seeing here is effectively we're trying to do some wordsmithing so that this hopefully works for you and that you're able to adopt this or some version thereof. The 6 key objectives were to enhance communications and community engagement, to manage the town's finance and human resources in a responsible manner, to enhance economic development activities through business retention and expansion, through the attraction of light industrial business and downtown improvements, to manage the town's infrastructure in a responsible and efficient manner, to promote healthy and active living through recreational and cultural opportunities, and to promote a healthy, safe, and environmentally conscious community. I think your very first presentation tonight talking about the robotics team talked about environmentally conscious community, and I applaud you for recognizing that and helping to fund that. Objective 1 is to enhance communications and community engagement. The primary area of focus is here, of course, is our internal and external communications, community and citizen engagement, and then collaboration and teamwork. There's a series of actions there to meet those objectives, and I won't go into all of the details for you, but suffice to say they are there for your appropriate reading pleasure. Managing the town's finances and human resources. The primary areas of focus here are financial stability and predictability and efficient and effective delivery of services. The actions out of that is develop a 5-year financial plan, and we're moving into that. Donna will soon be introducing to you the next series in that financial plan. That'll follow tonight's consideration of the adoption of the budget. Working on a plan to reduce debt. Establishing and managing a plan for reserves that reflects both the short-term and long-term financial objectives of council. And to develop a succession plan that addresses retirements and anticipates future staffing needs. And one of the things that's near and dear to me is to undertake a service delivery review, is to understand, as we did a little bit during the budget process, to understand the service levels that you were expecting and what are those levels going to cost into the future, how do we compare to other communities, and whether or not we're being efficient and effective. Objective 3 is to enhance economic development activities, and it's probably the busiest slide. There's a lot to do on this slide. Primary areas of focus, again, is looking at development-ready lands. Anne is working very closely with a number of developers on that. We're trying to get site certification for a couple of our properties. The Colavino is one of those that we're trying to work with. Community improvement plan, continue the uptake, socio and economic health of the business community, and then wayfinding. Wayfinding being signage and helping people navigate their way through the community. There's a whole host of actions there, everything from creating plans to a blue ribbon panel of community business leaders to help steer the process. A number of things there that we see are actions to meet those objectives. Continue to pursue grant opportunities, encourage and support the development of industrial parks, rezoning, implement the first phase of wayfinding, which I know Chris in his shop and Jeff Watson are working on, strengthening and maintaining a liaison with the business community, those types of things. Objective 4, managing the town's infrastructure in a responsible and efficient manner. Here it's everything on our assets, our infrastructure, fleet and facility, stormwater management, road maintenance, shared road issues. So we're working here on towards eliminating the funding gap, and I think this budget, the 2016 budget, speaks wholesomely to that effect. Continuing to pursue grant opportunities again, even though we've been turned down of late on some of them, we're going to continue to go after those. Develop a 5-year roads improvement maintenance plan, which Chris has done and will continue to work on and continue to monitor and amend. Continue on the Essex stormwater infrastructure improvement projects, which will soon be tendered for. Complete, or awarded, I guess, more so. Complete the stormwater management policies and standards. That's all of this work having to do with the IDF curves and other policies and strategies. And then move into Harrow and create a showed roads agreement with Amherstburg. You'll see, I think there's comments on Smith Road, again, one of those, you'll see comments coming back on that. So that's another area we see. Objective 5, promoting healthy and active living, creating a healthy and active community, and service delivery and facility management, both falling under Doug's purview. Continuing to work on the divestiture of Colchester Harbor, completing the service master plan, continue to support the development of trails, all of those various actions, maintaining our recreation facilities to ensure maximum usage. Objective 6, to promote a healthy, safe, and environmentally conscious community. And here, primary areas of focus are waste diversion, water quality, energy efficiency, animal welfare, and bylaw enforcement. And there's a number of actions to meet those objectives. In the evaluation stage, the implementation will be carried out through relevant departmental oversight. Those departments will identify the strategic objectives achieved by each project, plan, initiative, or action. You'll see them come forward in reports. As a report comes forward to council for its consideration, you'll already see how it meets with those strategic initiatives now. This will be a continuation of that, so that the work that the administration does and council does is evaluated by that. And the town senior management team, under the direction of myself, will provide council with an annual report, and more frequently if need be, detailing the progress in implementing the plan. That concludes my presentation. I'm open certainly to any questions or discussion.
Any questions of CEO? Councillor Caxero?
Through you, just a comment. If we go back to, I believe it's Objective 2, the creating a plan to reduce debt to 15 million by the end of council term. Obviously, council was more aggressive this year in spending money on some core infrastructure, and we certainly had to, and because we weren't successful in grants, we are going to have to continue to borrow a little bit more, but we know that the borrowing rates are very cheap, and I don't know if maybe that objective or that part of this objective is something that is as important maybe as it was when we were kind of looking at this, because I think the direction of council is a little different in that respect as far as trying to do some catch up. I'd just like to hear from administration, either from Ms. Hunter or Mr. Phillips, as to maybe is that going to be adjusted a bit because of that, because of maybe how council dealt with the budget this year?
Mr. Phillips? Yep.
Through you, Your Worship, I would defer to Donna, except to say that we did look at these slides just very recently, and I'm pretty sure we're all comfortable with them as far from administration's perspective. I believe, and I'll defer to Donna, but there are going to be some debt retirements that we will experience before the end of your term of council. And there are the potential, I guess, as you're saying, Councillor, that there could be additional items added to, but I think for the largest part, we're looking at funding a number of things coming from reserve. So I don't know that we were taking on that much more, but before I put myself into any more hot water, I'll let the treasurer speak to it.
Thanks, Donna.
Through your worship, I think, yes, we are going to try and fund some of that debt through our reserves rather than outsource it. But over the long term, what we're looking at is, yes, we'll be adding some, but there's a whole lot dropping off as well. So trying to manage that overall so that we do see an overall decrease at some point.
Further, Bill?
Yeah, through you, your worship. The only reason why I mentioned it is because for the project to deal with the flooding issues here in Essex, and also for Erie Road, those are the two bigger projects that I know we're going to be having to borrow some money for both of those projects, part of it, because we weren't successful with grants. I don't know what's dropping off. Obviously, you guys must feel that what's dropping off is fairly significant, so this isn't going to add too much burden to us, and that's still accomplishable. I mean, not that I'm upset. That would be great. I think if we can get debt down to 15 million within the next 2.5 years, that's remarkable, especially since, and I'll say it again for the media, we're spending the second most in the county among communities that are twice our size. I think that's worth noting.
Councillor Rose?
Yes, your worship. Reckon in terms of Russ's report as it relates to the infrastructure, I was hoping that Chris could give us just a 3-minute update, a brief update in terms of where we are with any initiatives or any forward movement as it relates to the flooding issues we had suffered. I know the committee's been working on it, so if you could just give us, as you know it today, Chris, a brief update on that, because I noticed Russ had talked about the RFPs going out for Bryan Avenue, so.
Through your worship, yeah. Phase 1 of the capital sanitary sewer upgrades in Essex Center has been awarded. We're just going through the contracts with the low bidder and making sure that we have MOE approval. The project does have an MOE reviewer, which is great news. So usually when it's on their desk, it really limits the time that it takes to review that. So that's good news. So by the time we get our review, our C of A, construction will start this spring as scheduled. Phase 2 is closing next Wednesday. That's the pump station upgrades, both pump station 3 and the pump station diversion chamber at the sewage works site. That's closing next Wednesday. So we're hoping for a good number on that, but that's tied to the MOE approval. It's all in one package, so that review should come by the time we need to start constructing. So it's positive there. The stormwater modeling has begun. We're looking at breaking down the baseline model of the storm sewer system. We're just picking where we're going to put our flow monitors as such, and so that'll help us in understanding our storm system, future upgrades, potential growth, what issues or constraints we may have with that system. So that's a plus as well. We're continuing to place manhole pans. We've been working with Viscount to get manhole pans in Viscount with them. So that's a good partnership that's on its way. So we're constant correspondence with them. So, and the subsidy program, although has lagged, it still has some movement. What we're planning to do is maybe come with a media blitz once we put a shovel in the ground for the sanitary sewer upgrades on Bryan and at the pump stations. Do a media blitz with the subsidy program as well as downspout disconnect information and flyers and door hangers. So that's all coming this spring. So movement, all movement, which is what we want.
Thanks, Chris, and I appreciate your work on that in administration, that's for sure.
Councillor Snoddy?
Through your worship, I agree with Councillor Coxero here that money is cheap. Okay, we are, what, Donna, $15 million in debt right now?
Through you, I'm sorry, what amount?
17 million in debt right now?
Oh, no, it's right now, I think at the last year, it was 21 million.
But part of that's user pay debt, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't have those figures in front of me,
well,
Larry.
that's fine, Donna. My issue is here, I wouldn't want to see the municipality go out and borrow money, okay, for infrastructure, although it is cheap to borrow. But I think our reserves are healthy, and I brought forward this last budget here, this budget we're going to pass tonight, to put an additional $2 million into infrastructure with the support of all council. And I think that's the direction we should be going in every year until we are. I know Chris has got a 5-year plan in place for infrastructure, roads and drainage, and we're going to get our flooding issues taken care of. But we have healthy reserves, and I know we upped our money for the following 5 years in place. We went up 80% funding for infrastructure, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to put forward next budget to pull additional, what goes into the landfill reserve? 1.5 million or 1.6 million we talked about per year?
About 1.6 million.
I will be making a motion before, when it comes up to the next budget meeting, that we pull that money out and put it directly into infrastructure. So eventually that 5-year plan will be right on target with that 5-year plan. We won't have to go 10 years, okay? We all like a 5-year plan, but in reality, I don't think we're going to reach it. So I will request for additional funding when it comes to 2017 budget. Thank you.
Councillor Coxero?
Through your worship, but just a follow-up question to Chris, through what Councillor Vokes was talking about. That flow monitoring of the stormwater system, ultimately, are we looking for an answer, or could we potentially be able to get an answer as to why the stormwater is infiltrating the sanitary sewer through this monitoring? Or is it more just a general exercise to get a better grip on our stormwater and try to produce a more efficient system?
Through your worship, it's unlikely that we'll find that silver bullet with the storm sewer review. We've done the fog testing of the sanitary sewers, and we saw no major cross connections. So, you know, fingers crossed. I always hope I find that, and so I'm proved wrong, definitely. But it's more to get a handle on our current storm system and ensure that we're treating the stormwater not just now, future, and not just at the source, also at the receiving body properly.
Councillor Bjorkman?
Thank you. Through your worship, again, just a thanks for the report. I mean, looking at all the different files and groups that are covered, so for any one of us to try to keep track of what's going on everywhere is impossible, to say the least. But to look at the objectives here, what I do like, even with the quote of the idea of the 50 million, is there are some stretch objectives here. Maybe we can't get there, but we're getting pointed in a direction, and we get focused in that area. And so we work our way through, and it's going to be a living document. This is going to change as different things are introduced to us and introduced to our town. But we have something that's taking us to the end of our council period and a little bit beyond, which will just give a really good direction. Again, some of these things we may not get there, but it's good focus, and we've got people responsible in all these areas that are going to bring reports to us. We're being told we're going to get a report minimum yearly, and a report card to show where we're going along here, which is what a lot of us need, because, like I said, we don't really understand the intricacies of what goes on here, but there has to be a metric that helps us go, you know what, that was worth doing. That was worth doing. So I look forward to that kind of culpability that we will get those kind of reports. And again, for everything that this covers, it's great. So thank you very much.
Anything further? Just a couple comments. We have healthy reserves, and there's a reason why we have healthy reserves. We all know that. I can see taking money out, but boy, we're not going to drain them to the position that we're in problems with the government and everything. That's my opinion anyways. And anyone that watches us tonight, or thank you ladies for sitting here, pass the word on. We've been getting calls, I've been getting a couple of calls from people in the municipality. What the heck are we doing in town? We're not doing anything. Man, oh man. I hope whoever watches this show, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, they pass the word on out there. Look what we're doing. Man, like, we're being questioned. What do they do? What do they do? Gee, they don't do anything. Man, oh man. Watch this thing and you'll see what our municipality is doing. Like Councillor Caxero said, second most in the county. Like, we're on fire. We're moving forward, believe me. And it's just mushrooming. So pass the word on. This council, these administration people, they're on fire. They are working. So that's all I have to say. All in favor of the motion? Oh.
Through your worship,
Councillor Snively. Okay, I will. I'll get it.
through your worship, I agree with you. I just listened to you saying that we shouldn't be draining our reserves. But what I said, if we have 1.5 or 1.6 million dollars going into the landfill reserve every year, we're really not draining that reserve. We're putting that back into our infrastructure. That's where I was getting at. Thank you. I want to clarify that with you.
Okay, but that 1.6, here I thought we were all done. Maybe I'll speak first, and then after that, from now on, nobody else will talk, only one time or something like that. But that 1.6 doesn't go in there. We use, what, $800,000 every year, that 1.6? Is it, Donna?
Through you, Worship. I'm sorry, what was your question?
1.6 goes in to the landfill reserve, but we take half of that out every year to keep our taxes down respectable.
Through you, Your Worship, based on this year's budget, you're taking out 80%, which is 1.2 million, starting in 2016.
So we're already taking 80% out. So there isn't that great big chunk in there because we always, every year, we've been taking out since I can remember. So, okay, I give Councillor Vokes and then Councillor Bjorkman.
Thank you. I'll make this quick. Council, again, this lady right here made it very clear, and I think with the support of Russ, made it very clear to us in our budget deliberations in terms of reserve, we're required to keep a certain amount in there. And they both advise we strongly look at that. So whatever we do with those reserves over and above that is what we choose to do. So we know we have that opportunity, right? So my point is, it's a question of what we can take out, what we can't take out, how much is going in, how much not. This lady has always directed us in terms of that line in the sand that says you can't do that.
Councillor Bjorkman.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to receive the report and implement it.
Deputy Mayor supports. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much, sir.
Item 7E, Economic Development Report Number EDO 2016-01, for receipt with the recommendation that Council approves the launch of an online survey to identify strategic priorities.
Councillor Caxero moves and supports Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? On favor? Motion carries.
Item 8, correspondence. 8A, correspondence to be received by council that the correspondence listed in agenda items 8A 1 to 9 be received.
Moved by Councillor Cacero, supported by Councillor Bondi. With a question?
With a question,
Yes,
please.
ma'am.
Thank you. In the minutes of the Windsor County Environment Committee, there is a recommendation from one of the members there that all county councils and the city council pass a motion for the marathon petroleum emissions. And I think county council did pass a motion, and I know LaSalle council did pass a motion too. So I'd like to just go on record for putting forward a notice of motion for our next council meeting that the town of Essex join in these other levels of government to send the environment minister a letter that we also feel that the air quality would be threatened by this emissions from the petroleum company.
Thank you. Councillor Vokes and then Councillor Cacero.
Not on that, on something separate in terms of the correspondence. Under 3, I see that the Premier Kathleen Wynne obviously didn't want to talk to us in terms of closing the Harrow High School, which certainly by no means didn't take me by surprise. I think I said that in the beginning. She wouldn't give us the time of day, which proved to be valid, but then she turned it over to Honorable Liz Sandals. So I guess my question is, hearing it right from somebody who was directly there, what did Honorable Liz Sandals say in terms of keeping the Harrow High School open?
Councillor Cacero, go on.
The short version, if we could.
Through your worship, we haven't spoken to her again. We spoke to her last year at AMO. Her clear message was the issue at the school was that of capacity, that there was less than 300 students in the 9 to 12 area, which significantly challenges the school. And that's hence why, part of the reason why the decision was made to close the school. Certainly, as a group, what we've been trying to impress upon the school board, the ministry, and the premier is that issue has been self-inflicted over the course of 45 years or better. So, unfortunately, it's falling on deaf ears. They are not listening to the fact that they've created their own problem and they don't want to deal with it.
So if I could, then, just to quick summarize. We sent a letter to Kathleen Wynne as a council and a corporation, want to meet with her. She says, I don't want to meet with you, but I'll give it to Liz Sandals. And Liz Sandals, has she responded to us? Has she responded to you, Mr. Phillips? Has she gave us the decency to say to us, I can't meet with you on this date. My calendar's certainly open on that date. And if that is what she's doing, then that's wrong.
Okay, I'll answer that. We as the municipality have not gotten a letter yet from Liz Sandals, Minister of Education. The Premier didn't say she didn't want to meet with us. She said she is not able to meet with us, and I am sending it to the department where it belongs. She can't make a decision. This lady here, Liz Sandals, the Minister of Education, she's the one that has to deal with this. We haven't gotten a letter, and I think within maybe another week, if we don't get that letter, the mayor will be calling Liz Sandals' office to find out when she is going to send us a letter, and if we are going to have an audience with her. You know, the committee I'm speaking about.
I thank you for that, Your Worship, but I just find it a little bit appalling recognizing what this community's going through in terms of keeping Harrow High School open, that it says here very clearly that Kathleen Wynne, dated February 19th, advised council, February 19th, she did that. And tomorrow's the 8th. And she turned it over to her administration, and that person has not as much as even sent an email to us, which would take her merely 30 seconds of her unannounced day to do that. And that's the bottom line is that's wrong. It's just discarding what we're trying to do.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Cacero, you're up next.
Through your worship, Actually, item 3 and item 5, I believe, were the two items that I wanted to speak to. I'll go a little further, just so council's aware. Myself and the mayor, along with Bill Parr, Sherry Dzudovic, Melanie Poltanovich, no, not Tim Smeltzer, Rebecca Robinson, Rebecca's mother, Rebecca's son. We were in Toronto on the 24th. It's worth noting, and I mentioned this to the mayor, when I saw this letter, I was absolutely appalled, and I don't want the CEO to share an email that I sent to him, but I had less than nice words for our premier. That letter was dated the 19th, you're correct, Councillor Vokes. We were up there on the 24th. We were trying to gain an audience with her right up until the 24th. I sent an email to one of her advisors. And the fact that she penned a letter on the 19th, and up until the 24th, we were unaware of the fact that she wasn't going to meet with us, is appalling. That's appalling. I think that's ridiculous that the leader of our province doesn't have the decency at least to communicate properly. We did gain an audience with Minister Leal, who's the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. He seemed piqued interest-wise with regards to the situation and said he was going to try to gain a meeting with his colleagues, both the Premier and the Minister of Education, and get back to us. So he's supposed to get back to us also. I am waiting with bated breath. And I think it's at least deserving of an email or a letter to either tell us to go fly a kite or give us an audience as we had requested. So, and the reason why I mention item 5, of course now I've lost what I... I've lost. Item 5 spoke to some programming with regards to early years and some other stuff that is being endorsed by the province, and yet we find ourselves in this situation, and it all goes along with creating these community hubs with other types of activities other than just the straightforward education. The chair of our Board of Education just a few days ago, or a week ago, mentioning about a problem with people driving kids that walk to school, or could walk to school, driving them to school, adding to our carbon footprint, and adding to obesity. But yet, they'll close the school and put every kid on a bus, 80 kids that walk. So I don't understand with the double standards or the mixed messages that we're getting from, whether it be the school board, the ministry, the actual province, but I think they need to get their house in order. I've said this many a times. These ministries operate in silos. They don't communicate with each other. What one is doing, 3 are undoing. And quite frankly, it's appalling.
Thank you. Well said. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Worship. It's, you know, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We know the for whatever reason, depending on the flavor of the day, the government makes choices not to entertain. So then that is our diligence now, and representing to the people we represent, not to wait for them respectfully to initiate something that tentatively could come back this week or maybe never come back. I would ask that we have our CAO, Russ Phillips, send emails early as the start of business day tomorrow to Mrs. Sandals to say we discussed it in council and we anxiously await her response. And then we have record of doing that as a result of that email being sent. And if somebody challenges what we're doing, we can show them what we have done. As the mayor has said, that people are questioning what we're doing. And I hear that too, by the way, Your Worship. I do. And so we need to start setting some groundwork for what we're doing, a document that says there's what we did. There's a document that says what they didn't do. So I would ask if council would support that we direct administration, and specifically that of our CAO, Russ Phillips, to send a letter in his writing to her tomorrow morning requesting an answer whether or not they're going to step up to the pump or not. And if I have to make that a motion to do that, I think it just has to be a direction.
Direction's fine. You got any head knots? Yep, okay. Looks like you got enough, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Phillip.
I appreciate your help on that, by the way, Russ, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. So all in favor of that motion? Motion carries. Just before you go, Robert, just see the Mayor of Lake Shore and the warden for the county has dropped in to listen to us and watch us, so welcome, Mr. Bain. Thanks.
Next on correspondence, item 8B, that correspondence from the Township of Gillies dated March 1st, 2016, advising that its council supports a request to the province to increase funding to long-term care facilities be received or received and supported.
Moved by Councillor Bondi and supported by Councillor Cacero. Any questions? Councillor Vokes.
Not a question, but just a point in terms of supporting long-term care facilities. Heaven forbid we may all end up there one day. And I think it's recognized, and I stand to be corrected. I'm sure people may come at me tomorrow. But the provincial averages in terms of correctional facilities, in terms of averages what our long-term care facilities are getting, the reality is that the correctional facilities are getting more than people in our community that are elderly in long-term care facilities. And again, that too is provincially wrong. But I just want to make that point of interest about that. I don't know if people understand that or realize that or not, but we should get on the bandwagon with that particular letter as much as we can.
Councillor Cacero.
Through your worship, and you're absolutely correct, Councillor Vokes, and I believe I saw a stat recently. It's quite a big difference. It's not like it's a few dollars different, it's a big difference.
Okay, all in favor? Motion carries.
Item 8C on correspondence. Correspondence from the municipality of Blue Water that the copy of correspondence sent to Premier Wynne from the municipality of Blue Water requesting the Minister of Health and Long-Term Care reinstate incentives for physicians to practice in rural areas of Ontario be received or received and supported.
Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
And item 8D, that correspondence from the Ontario Clean Water Agency enclosing the 2015 annual and summary reports and correspondence enclosing Union Water Supply System annual performance report be received and made available for public viewing.
Councillor Bjorkman moves, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? Councillor Cacero.
Just to whoever sits on the Union Water System, Mayor, your worship, the report seemed to be in order. I mean, a lot of that is stuff that we don't really quite understand, but the values were good, the water's clean, and we're able to drink it.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
For sure. All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item 9, committee meeting minutes. That the committee meeting minutes in items 9A through C be received and adopted as presented.
Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 11, under new business, I believe the first item is Councillor Cacero concerning 6th concession.
Councillor Cacero.
Through your worship, Chris is working on, Mr. Nepsey is working on a report to council with regards to some stats, accidents on gravel roads and whatnot. I had brought this forward in the fall. I had met with a gentleman on that road. It's not the only complaint I've had about the sixth concession. Certainly going back, first term of council that I served on, 2003 to 2006, there was a 15-year plan that was supposed to eliminate all the gravel roads. Obviously, that fell by the wayside with the next council, and we know why all the roads aren't paved now, because that plan isn't being followed. So the issue, quite simply, is the gentleman doesn't necessarily feel that the road should be paved, but he seems to think there's excessive dust on the road through the summer. He finds it challenging to spend time outside or open his windows if he wishes. He feels it's either due to speed or excessive grading. So that's kind of what I think the report is going to address, as to if there's anything that we can do to help out the issue. The only reason why I brought it before council, if there's anything that council has to maybe add, or if they have any ideas, certainly the gentleman and others on the road would be more than welcome to those ideas. And that's simply why I brought it to council, just so that everybody was aware of what was going on. And I look forward to the report from Chris at some point in time. He has corresponded with the ministry. I kind of initiated that. And now he's going to be getting some stats. So just wanted to update council. And if there is any comments, or if anybody has, some sort of a suggestion or idea now or even at a later date, be great.
Councilor Votes.
Your worship, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. It's like living on a lakefront, and after you move in, complain the waves are splashing into the shore, right? I look at Councilor Malash over the years, how many times he had complaints about people with dust, but if we can figure out something to get our arms around it, we'll do that. But I wouldn't anticipate too much coming out of it.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, through your worship. And speed. Speed's an issue on every road in every community, from here to Sudbury to Ottawa to Sault Ste. Marie. It's unless you have the ability to have so many police officers in your community, and if you can afford to do that, hire additional officers just to do speed patrol within your community. And then as soon as you do that, you've got all kinds of people complaining that there's speed traps all over the place. I've heard it both sides. We ask for extra patrols in certain areas, and then I get calls once they do the extra patrols or the speed radars. Then I get complaints from people saying, I cannot believe this. Why are they saying this is entrapment? So you can't win. It's one or the other, and some people believe that if it's in front of their house, that then, or on their street, then it needs to be taken care of, and other people are saying no, it doesn't need to be taken care of. But you're going to have speeding regardless of the street you talk about, and there's really not a solution that's cost effective, let's put it that way, to trying to get to a point where the speed is reduced. Here we have a gravel road, and if it's a gravel road and people are traveling at those kind of speeds, I mean, that's ridiculous. They should be, looking at the condition of the road and driving it at a speed that, obviously they don't have any concern about themselves or their passengers if they're speeding down a gravel road. But in any case, that's my point.
Okay. Anything else? Good. I'm glad we're all aren't pitching in to give Chris our advice, because there's 7 of us here. We'd probably get 5 different remedies, and I think it's in the hands of the person that should be dealing with it. So look forward to that report, Bill. Thanks. All in favor of the motion to receive that? Okay.
Item B under new business is Councillor Vokes concerning the use of a municipal parking lot for a summer event.
Councilor Votes.
Thank you, Rob. I just wanted to talk to council briefly, if I could. Obviously, Doug and his people have been working diligently on trying to get, again, a lineup for this summer for the outside concert series we have on Wednesday nights in Essex. And actually, last summer, it was quite successful, I believe. But just to stimulate that a little bit, is I'm asking council because the parking lot, there's a municipal parking lot. And I've talked to actually the Essex Spitfire Committee, the Essex Memorial Spitfire Committee, about approaching the Windsor Hot Rod Association, and then also approaching Harry Bergman and his group, and then take the opportunity through whatever it takes to stimulate acknowledgement for a car show there every Wednesday night, along with the music. And at the same time, ask businesses, if they choose to do so, to promote their what they sell and what they do. When I look at the automotive aspect of it, when I look at Seeker Automotive, when I look at Bose Collision, when I look at Canadian Tire, whatever it may be automotive related, my guess is they'd be more than happy to set a little booth up there every Wednesday night. Set it up, tear it down. Within minutes, it's gone. And the truth is the music would play off the car show, and the car show would play off the music. And it's a venue that my guess, can't miss. It really can't. And if you look at A&W, A&W had to shut it down because so many people showed up. The businesses in the plaza complained that all the old car guys and the people coming to see the old cars took so much of their parking lot, they complained and they put a stop to it because there was so many people showing up. That's not the case here with the municipal parking lot. And I'm afraid it's going to go, and I hope it wouldn't. I'm afraid it's going to go to, well, let's get a report, let's do an audit, let's talk to the businesses, it's going to take away parking spots. I'm hoping it's just a simple decision to say yes. And if there's problems occurring, I don't know what they would be, but if there's problems occurring, we'll deal with them when they come. It's a win-win for everybody. And the committee's willing to, I talked to Suzanne Allison today, and there's a willingness to approach those people and get it set up and try it one time. If it doesn't work, like many things we've tried before, it doesn't work. But Essex is a great area to come for hot rod guys because it's really in the middle of the county. They come from Bell River, Tecumseh, Harrow, all over the place. So I'm just asking, I'm hoping council would support saying, yes, let's give it a try if you want to put the work into it, and we'll see what becomes of it. Thank you.
Comment, Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, myself and Councillor Snively sit on Arts and Culture for Tourism, the committee that kind of endorsed or came up with the idea of the summer concert series. Certainly, I think it's a great idea. Anytime you can piggyback a couple of little things like that that feed off of each other. I think the train station also was encouraged to maybe provide food those nights. And you kind of get that atmosphere happening. Certainly, same thing down in Colchester. If there's something that comes forward that could piggyback on top of those concert events each Tuesday, I think down there, Monday, sorry. Yeah, I think it's good. It encourages more traffic. I guess logistically we just have to figure out through I believe Doug's office as to how we do that. We do that anyway for other events, close the street down or whatever. So I don't think it's hard. It's just a matter of doing it logistically. I would support it.
Mr. Sweet.
Your worship, I think there needs to be some coordination, and maybe if there is a person interested, they approach the BIA, because I think they'd be a large part of that with the businesses in the parking lot, and as a group we can work together. But I think there has to be some coordination so we know what nights things will be happening.
Councillor Vogt.
I understand all the logistics of that. Again, I don't want to make it complicated, and I see the needle going a little bit that way right now, so I want to pull it back. I just want to. I understand that. I have that willingness to work on all those logistics in terms of what we need to do responsibly to make sure that comes off right. But I need to come out of here tonight saying that there's a willingness to allow us to use that parking lot. Because there's really nobody in there on a Wednesday night. A few cars, half a dozen, I've looked at it. at the best.
Okay, Councillor Snively?
Through your worship, I haven't got a problem with that whatsoever, Councillor folks. I think it's a great idea, and the more we can bring to something like this, I think it would attract more people. I support it, and I'm sure Councillor Coxero supports it. I think it's a great idea. Thanks.
Councillor Vokes?
So can I, it's direction through administration, can I do it through a motion to support it? And that of whether council does support it? So,
I would think so, but as it was stated, someone's going to have to put this all together. Mr. Sweet?
there's nothing to put together.
Yep, and I talked with Councillor Vokes, it just, whatever the plan is, we have that CERT committee, so that we know to put barricades, garbage cans, just need to approach something on date, so.
Yeah.
Councillor Vokes?
And thank you. Just for the record, I want to make it clear and I want to make it non-confusing so the council understands it. There's really nothing to do. There's nothing. It's really contacting the guys in the club and say, in the museum and say, hey, you want to come park your car on Wednesday night? Council gave permission for us to use that parking lot. That's it. Done. It's done.
We all agree.
So,
Nothing to do. I heard it. Nothing to do. Thanks. Deputy Mayor Malash?
Yeah, thank you, through your worship. Randy, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I think it needs to be coordinated with Doug. I agree that let's let it go forward, and I agree that I would like to see that event happen, but there are things. It sounds simple, and I've been involved in events where people think that they can just throw it together and nothing's going to happen. I think we need to go through Doug. If it's recognized as a town event, or they do this with every group out there. And it's not complicated. They make it very easy. They make it easier by working with them to try and organize the event. So it's just coordinating the date, because you may pick a date where the parking lot have already been asked for by the BIA, or every Wednesday night. I think you still need to talk with Doug's group and get it figured out.
Councillor Vokes?
I got to tell council, if anybody knows my resume, I have old vehicles. This isn't my first rodeo. I've been involved in other car shows in the past and organizing them. But my intent is not to discard the fact that it has to be worked with Doug. My intent tonight is only to have council say to me that, yes, we have no problem in initiating that. So I'm going to put a motion forward that council support the use of the municipal parking lot during the concert series events on Wednesday night this summer for car shows.
Move supported, Councillor Coxero and Councillor Bjork.
Just friendly amendment to the motion, and that you'll work with Doug's department
I
to...
did today.
Yep. That's it.
Okay, Councillor Bjorkman? Nothing? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Last on new business, I believe, is Councillor Caxero, a report concerning drainage matters from administration.
Councillor Coxero?
Through your worship, as we saw tonight, certainly things have been changed. I think we've got a lot of what the problem was identified and moving forward. As far as the drainage department is concerned, billing. But I would just like a report back, if we could get it, from, I believe it's Donna, Chris, Dan, that are all kind of working on that file. And basically, just so that council's enlightened as to where are we at in that process, what else do we need to do. It wasn't just the fact that bills are going out late. I mean, there was the attachment of drainage to a roll number, so that when somebody sells their property, it's identified if somebody does a title search. Those things weren't happening, so I just kind of want to see where we're at in that process. We got a little bit of an update tonight, and if we could get a report back, that would be great.
I think in that report, Councillor Coxero, that everything is on schedule. Didn't I say that in there? Yeah, okay. Yep, good enough. Councillor Snively?
Through your worship, when can we expect that report to come back on drainage?
Mrs. Hunter?
Through your worship, I will try to bring it back for the next meeting.
Next meeting? Thank you.
Okay. 21st. Thanks. Okay, Carol.
Sorry, and I didn't put this on the agenda, but I don't think I've sent out an email. I just want to let everybody know that I am traveling south this Thursday, and I'll be back for the meeting on the 21st, but I will be out of town for a week and a half.
Okay. While you're discussing that, I'll bring up mine. I have told most of you, I've told administration I will not be here for the 21st meeting. I will be on vacation, so thanks.
Okay. Item 13, bylaws. Bylaw number 1491, to adopt the 2016 operating and capital budget.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, Councillor Cacciaro supports. Any questions? Councillor Vokes?
I don't have questions, but Bill, my wife's leaving for South Thursday.
I'm driving. I'm driving with my family.
Is she looking for a ride, Randy? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 13B, bylaw number 1492, to appoint a weed inspector for the town of Essex for the year 2016.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
And item C, bylaw number 1493, to confirm the proceedings of this March 7th meeting.
Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Cacciaro, Deputy Mayor Malash. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Have a great night, everyone.